So I don't think that most people should train their arms, biceps, triceps. Probably not going to get a lot out of it. Now, first of all, start off, just going to admit, yes, I am a hater. This is also partly based on just my own experience. Obviously, I've been lifting for now over 17 years. And during that time, been through about a decade of powerlifting, been through about 6 years more focused on calisthenics and then bodybuilding. During that time, I would say that arms have probably been my least favorite muscle group, body part to train. And, when I was a power lifter, when I was primarily focusing on powerlifting, yeah, at least part of that was, I would say, a little bit of closed-mindedness in terms of, okay, I do powerlifting, all I care about is lifting heavy weights, all I care about is bench pressing, squatting, deadlifting, and of course a little bit of overhead pressing, and so I don't care about training my arms, right? You can understand that. But when I shifted over to training a lot more as a bodybuilder, I made a serious, real effort. I tried a lot of stuff. I tried BFR, I tried cable, I tried dumbbell curls, I tried barbell curls, I tried all kinds of different variations, and I never really found much of anything that I enjoyed. I found that this is basically the muscle group that got the least return on effort in terms of just how much time I put into it. It never felt like, no matter how much work I put into it, I could put an endless amount of effort into it and I would get almost nothing out of it. Probably the worst of this happened around, I want to say 2021 or so, when I was training arms literally every single day, 3 to 5 sets a day for a year and a half or something like that. Very little growth. It's not because I was overworking my biceps, anything like that. It's a fast recovering muscle group. You can train them pretty frequently. You are going to benefit from training them more frequently. I was pushing it real hard. I was pushing it to failure on every single set. Didn't see much out of it. And that highlights a few issues that I want to talk about in terms of why training arms for most people in a general sense is not a good idea. Setting my own experiences aside, here are some reasons why training arms may not be a good idea for you in particular. So the first one is simply that you are getting a lot of training for your biceps, for your triceps, just from all kinds of other exercises that you were doing. When you're bench pressing, when you're rowing, when you're overhead pressing, you are already getting in a lot of work for the biceps and triceps. Are you getting in as much as you could be if you were also adding in direct arm work? No, of course not. But you are going to get a lot of it. I would say probably 80% of the results from just doing those movements. And if you're somebody who, say, doesn't necessarily need to have the biggest arms in the world, you're not necessarily training for bodybuilding, I don't necessarily see how this is a huge benefit for most people. Yes, it could be, just a little bit of a benefit in terms of helping you build a little bit more strength if you've got a little bit more arm mass. Most other people, it's kind of like, I don't know why you'd train it, right? General health and fitness, not really any point. Then the second thing is, most people are not going to see results in the short term from training their arms, even if they do want to train their arms specifically to get bigger arms, right? And so the reason for that is that arms, I would say kind of like your abs, are one of those muscle groups that you can't really see a lot of results from, unless you're really, really lean. We have this joke about how abs are made in the kitchen and, it's super easy to have abs when you're really lean and all that. And, it's all about diet. And, to a certain extent that is true. Yes, you can build more abdominal mass by training them more. But then when you have, fat mass on top of that, it's not going to make it look like it's growing very much. You're not going to really see the results of that effort. However, if you're training your abs, when you've got some fat mass on top of them, you build some mass, and then you cut down in weight significantly, you get much leaner, then later on, you can see the results of that work, right? So you can see, oh yeah, I was building some muscle around my abdominals from all that work I was doing when I was, not super lean. But now that I am lean, I can see that. It becomes revealed. You get to see that, hard work, chisel out that definition. Arms are, I would say, kind of the same way. You're talking about a muscle group that is not going to grow particularly fast, not going to grow particularly robustly in response to training. And most people, you probably don't carry as much excess fat mass on your arms as you do compared to your stomach, but most people are going to be carrying some amount of fat mass in their arms. And I will say, I've gone from, like having like decently large arms. It's like, okay, put a measuring tape around it, 17 inches, whatever. And then you go down, you get much leaner. And now you're down, significantly in terms of your arm size. But now it's, super lean. You got, veins popping out. You got definition. You got, striations. And suddenly everyone's like, oh my God, your arms are so huge, right? It's the exact same thing as with your abs. When you have some fat mass on top of it, it doesn't really look like you're building much muscle. It doesn't really look like anything's happening. It doesn't look very impressive. But then you lean out a lot. And yes, you may have less muscle overall, but you look shredded. You look defined. And that's great, right? And so if you're a person who I would say is going, again, primarily for bodybuilding, right? Like if you're a person who is going to be super lean in the future, where you can see the results of that hard work, then yeah, go ahead, slam on, doing all that arm work for now. And then down the line, you can see that hard work pay off when you get lean and, you get to see that definition and so on. But again, that could be 6 months, a year, 2 years, that could be super far down the line. Most people don't have the kind of patience for that. Most people don't have the kind of patience to hammer away at something, not seeing any results for an incredibly long period of time. And then finally it all, comes together all of a sudden at the end, right? Like most people don't have that kind of patience. I didn't really even have that kind of patience. Yes, in my own training, shifting more to focusing on bodybuilding. Have I started to do more arm work again? Yes. And I am going to do another whole video about falling back in love with arm training, right? But I will say that for significant periods of time in my training, even when I am focused on bodybuilding, I have not included direct arm work for that reason. Or I've treated it very much like an afterthought, where get in my normal workouts, focus on the main lifts. If it turns out that maybe I've got an extra 10 minutes, a little bit of energy left over at the end, yeah, I might hit a couple, real lazy, sets to failure of biceps or a couple real lazy sets to failure of triceps or something like that, right? That's kind of the way that I did it for a long, long time. Again, I did eventually fall back in love with training arms. I'll talk about why that is in a future video, but I can understand, right? Like I can understand why most people would probably not benefit from training arms and probably would not enjoy training arms and probably would not see much benefit from it. So do I recommend training arms for most people? No. Most of the people who come to me, looking for training advice, looking for coaching, are general population people. Maybe they're looking to get in better shape. Maybe they're looking to build a bit of muscle. Maybe they're looking to lean out a little bit, right? All that stuff is great. You can do all that stuff focusing on major compound movements. Don't need to do bicep curls. I do think that arms are probably one of the most overtrained muscle groups because every guy in the world wants to have super big arms, right? Every guy in the world is so excited about having super big arms. I don't think that doing a lot of direct arm work is really benefiting them, but they're doing it anyway because that's what they like. And again, if that's what you like and you don't care, that again, it's a pretty low return on time invested, okay, yeah, go for it, right? If that's fine with you. I've gone through periods in the past where that was fine with me, but I'd say I went through a lot more periods where that wasn't fine with me. I am back to a place where I am training arms again. We'll talk about that in the next video. Anyway, as always, don't hesitate to comment down below, like, subscribe, smash the notification bell. Let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. I will talk to you all next week. Have a good one.